It's really loud.
Okay. Good eve, I'm sorry, what? That loud?
No, the mini split is loud.
Yes. Good evening and welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Ulysses Town Board. It is November 14th, 2023, and I'm going to call this meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. May we please have a roll call?
You may. Ms. Bouchard,
Present.
Mr. Goldman, Ms. Olson,
Present.
Mr. Boggs,
Present.
Ms. Weatherby.
Present. Thank you. We have an agenda before you. I'd like to make a couple modifications with board approval. The presentation related to Development District 3, based on mutual agreement. I'd like to pull it from the agenda. It'll be moving to the November 28th meeting. And then we are going to not review minutes tonight. Grizzly has been very, very busy and there's been a lot going on in the town. And so we're going to move those to the 28th as well. I do not have any board notifications. Are there any other changes or alterations that members of the board need to the agenda tonight? Okay, then I'll accept.
To approve as amended.
Wonderful. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we'll do privilege of the floor next. But after that, if the board is amenable to it, I'd like to move forward budget modifications and payment of audited claims to the very beginning, out of respect for Michelle's availability tonight. She was able to be here at the beginning, but not to be able to stay towards the end of the meeting. And so I would like her to be here for that discussion and consideration. So with that, we'll move to privilege of the floor. While I'm saying that, anyone in the public, both online and in person, is welcome to address the town board on any subject. Now you're entitled to 3 minutes, and please state your name and your residence in the town or connection to the town, if not residents. And sure, is there anybody? I'll go back and forth in person and online. So tell everybody who wants to speak has a chance. We're allocating 30 minutes for that in case there doesn't appear to be 30 necessarily 10 people who want to speak necessarily, but if so, we have time for that. And there's a second privilege of the floor at the end of the meeting. So is there anybody in person who'd like to address the board? Please go right ahead.
I'm Dan Clement. I live at 5027 Boyce Road. And I'm speaking on behalf of the concerned Ulysses taxpayers and voters.
Thank you.
And speaking regarding legal obligations and constraints under New York State town law concerning resolution 2023-125. Several members of the concerned Ulysses taxpayers and voters attended the November 9th town board public information session regarding the town board's proposal to purchase 30 acres of agricultural land for rec fields and other unknown purposes. Supervisor Olson and council member Weatherby repeated information on the town website FAQs about resolution 2023-125, authorizing the town supervisor Olson to negotiate and enter into a contract to purchase 30 acres of agricultural land from ARPA funds and to enter into agreements for closing activities for the same town expense subject to permissive referendum. Under New York State town law, actions subject to permissive referendum do not take place until 30 days after the town board's action to allow time for public notice and, if any, petition for a vote on the action. Public records show that an appraisal, a survey, and a signed purchase contract, all dated in the 30-day period before resolution 2023 took effect, were executed by the town supervisor. The legal rights of the town of Ulysses voters to input on decisions affecting them, as codified in the New York State town law, are not optional. As resolution 2023-125 still has not taken effect, we ask that the board remedy this misuse of authority immediately sign the resolution 2023-125 in its entirety. We look forward to your formal and timely response. And please enter the things of the public record. Thank you.
Is there anybody online who wishes to address the town board? If so, please raise your hand or come on the video. Somehow signal, speak up. Okay, is there anybody else in public who would wish to address the town board? Certainly, please go ahead.
I'm Nancy Cusimano, 5011 Boys Road. Your town of Ulysses supervisor and town council members. On behalf of the town of Ulysses, the town board accepted an allotment of approximately $321,000 of federal funds under the American Rescue Plan Act to address impacts of COVID-19 national health emergency and resulting economic effects on town of Ulysses residents. This one-time funding source is one of the most flexible direct grants to local communities in decades. Depending on local officials to identify the worst impacted and direct funds to them. The town supervisor and Representative Weatherby stated at the town board's public information session that ARPA funds may be used for recreational purposes and pointed to other municipalities that had used them in such a way. They did not say the town of Ulysses falls under the same categories and requirements as those municipalities. Both the law and the generic award and terms and conditions letter required to be signed by a board representative before funds were allocated require the town board to document use of funds for projects targeting most affected by COVID health emergency, qualified census tracts, tribal governments, U.S. territories, and those under federal low income definition, and students who lost in-person instruction. If identifying another population as disproportionately impacted, document the decision-making process by which the determination was made that it is a qualifying group. Document how the proposed project is commensurate to and responsive to identified and qualifying need. Certify to the Department of Treasury that this documentation exists and produce it upon request. Additionally, it does not appear that the town of Ulysses meets the requirements for using ARPA funds to purchase 30 acres for rec fields and unknown other purposes under the 2020-30 Consolidated Appropriations Act, which expanded authority effective December 22nd, 2022, to allow the purchase of land, quote, for any public purpose, subject to certain limitations, unquote, to fund Title I projects. Under the law, no more than 30% of the town's ARPA funds, or $96,584, can be used for a Title I project. The town board must direct, quote, 70% of ARPA funds used for Title I projects to projects that principally benefit low and moderate income persons, unquote, with a median income of $65,880. According to the latest U.S. Census Bureau statistics for town of Ulysses, the median income in the last 12 months is estimated at $67,875, exceeding the limit. Recipients must ensure at least 51% of intended project beneficiaries are in the low to moderate income category. Based on the most recent U.S. Census Bureau statistics of a general population of 4,937, 2,150 or 44% are low to moderate income. The town board must document the project complies with the national.
3 minutes are up.
Okay, you have it.
Thank you. Is there anybody online who wishes to address the town board? Okay, back to in person. Is there anybody in person who'd like to address the town board?
I would
Sure.
go down.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Vivian Rhodes. My address is 104 Pennsylvania Avenue, Emmitsburg, New York. My topic tonight is ARPA reporting and recoupment under the regulations and award letter. At the town board's 11/9/2003 Public Information Center session. Excuse me for not looking at you because I don't know this by heart. Supervisor also remarked that the federal government did not care about little amounts of ARPA funds like those allocated to the town of Ulysses. And after the public information session, while speaking with Ms. Weatherby about required documentation of the town board's determination, that actions approved under resolution 2023-125. Subject to permissive referendum, address the impact of COVID-19 on the town of Ulysses as required by ARPA. My understanding was that she said not under $10 million. I may have misunderstood, but that was my understanding. So final guidance for use of ARPA funds clearly states that funds must be used to address the impact of the COVID-19 health emergency and resulting negative economic effects. That municipalities of any size receiving ARPA funds must target 51% of those funds to low to moderate income. And that those receiving entities must document and maintain records for 5 years after funds are expended or returned to the Treasury Department. I have not yet received the Town of Ulysses award letter and terms and conditions and ARPA reporting to date as requested under the Freedom of Information Law on the 2nd of this month. But the generic award letter posted on the Treasury Department website requires of all municipalities who receive funds these following things. 1, funds may only be obligated or used in compliance with section 603C of the Social Security Act, which is the American Rescue Plan Act. Treasury's regulations implementing that section and guidance issued by Treasury. 2, funds used for ineligible purposes shall be subject to recoupment. 3, Treasury Department shall use any actions available to collect debt not promptly paid on demand. And 4, in reporting false statements or claims in connection with this award is a violation of federal law and may result in criminal, civil, or administrative sanctions, including fines, imprisonment, civil damages, and penalties, debarment from participating in federal awards or contracts, and or any other remedy available by law. For these reasons, I request that the town board rescind Resolution 2023-125 and use ARPA funds for the intended purpose of assisting town residents most impacted by the COVID-19 health emergency and resulting negative economic effects. Please add this memo to the. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wishes to address the town board online? Is there anyone else who wishes to address the town board in person? Yes, please go ahead. That's fine. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, I wanted to, I guess, propose.
You say your name, sir?
Oh, sorry. Bill George. From South Street Extension. And I wanted to propose to the board that they approach the village, and I would suggest insist that all the truck traffic from the project Village Road, I think it's called these days, go north on South Street up to Main Street and over to 227 that way. Living on South Street extensions, all the trucks are going south from South Street down to Podunk and Curry Road to 227. I followed a few of the trucks, and the ones I followed are all exceeding the speed limit by to me an uncomfortable margin. If they do slow down, they're often doing it by jake braking, which I think is a term for it when the trucks slow down. The one I followed going like 37, 38 miles an hour didn't slow down even in that windy section down into Podunk, and had a rear license plate covered in mud, and even if it wasn't, it was all bent up underneath. It just seems like there's an awful lot of danger there. You know, we don't have a sidewalk down
So
there.
what, I'm sorry, but what are you requesting?
That the town approach the village and insist that they have their trucks from the project on South Street go up to Main Street and out of town that way. Without a sidewalk there. You know, people out walking their dogs, walking, bicycling. Not to mention the wear and tear on South Street Extension. Which took enough abuse from the stream the creek restoration, which I hope there would be some money from that project to repave the road or something. And also perhaps if the town could approach the sheriff's office to maybe have them to have somebody out there. Randomly the speed and the trucks, but I mean, we sit back at 4144 and still fix the house. Especially when they load it up. So that was.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just a go back and forth, let's see if there's anybody else online. Is there anybody online who wishes to address the town board? Okay, then I will move back to in person. Give me just a sec to set up my 3-minute timer and please go right ahead. Yes, go ahead.
4144 South Street Extension. I want to support what Bill said. Obviously, we live in the same house, but our house shakes. It's only on the slab. There's no basement. Those trucks with, to me, boulders this big go by. They go by. I counted 10 trucks in a 2-hour period going back and forth and back and forth. It's so loud. I mean, I can't even hear the radio hardly in our own house, let alone that it shakes. As far as I know, even though I brought it up a couple times at the meeting before that project even got started, there's no bond. That anybody whose house is affected in any way, cracks, whatever, in the foundation can go to that project and say, hey, my house didn't have my basement or my slab didn't have cracks before, and now it does. And I think there's also, I'm not sure about this, but I think there's also no, in addition to being no bond like that, there's no money to repair the road. I mean, I can already see when I walk out that there's roofs that looks like the Bronx Expressway a little bit, you know, in New York, where there's truck roofs in the road already. And the project hasn't even been going on that long.
Right.
I also do not like waking up to the roar, and it's pretty constant roar of the trucks. I totally support Bill in saying there is no reason in my mind that trucks should be going on a residential section of South Street Extension. Go to Main Street. It's a state road. Go to Main Street, have fun, you know. Go past the mayor's house, shake his house. Okay, that's it.
Not to mention my house.
I don't want them to be here. I don't want them to take words.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else in person who, actually, I'm sorry, anybody online who wishes to address us? Okay, is there anybody else in person who wishes to address us? Okay, thank you very much. We will move on. What we're going to bring on Michelle to discuss budget modifications and payment. I'm sorry.
When we're gonna do the numbers, Alice.
That's right. We were finished.
Okay, can you please talk a little louder? I can't hear you very well over here.
Sure, no, that's not something I'm usually requested to do, so thank you very much for that opportunity. You are absolutely right. So I was remiss in doing something that we wanted to include at the beginning, but now the privilege of the floor is over. I'd like to take a moment of silence to recognize Jim Meeker. Jim Meeker recently passed away last week, and he was a very important figure in the town of Ulysses. He served as highway superintendent for 37 years. And that's a really impressive career. And he was very much responsible for leaving our current highway superintendent, with well-paved roads that he is continuing to, oversee and take care of. So I'd like to take a brief moment of silence to remember Jim and to keep his family and loved ones in our thoughts. Thank you very much. Okay, moving to Michelle, are you able to join us for this part?
Hello.
Great, thank you, Michelle. So we have both budget, let's start with budget modifications. Budget modifications, as we approach the end of the year, we have lots to cover. So Michelle, would you mind walking us through today's budget modifications?
Sure. A couple of these you'll see as the year goes on. The printing and mailing CE is the first one here. As money gets spent out of there for the remainder of the year, we'll be doing another budget modification out of contingency out of that. So, and then the next one is the community rec, the adult programs, which are going to be directly offset with fees that those programs are generating. In the B fund, we anticipated overage in the attorney line in the budget season. So this is all anticipated overage for attorney related services in the B fund. And then the next one here, both of these expense lines are going to be offset by contingency. And this overage in the general natural resources CE, the 8790.4 in the B fund, that is due to the Water Source Protection Committee survey mailing. Those are both offset by contingency, and both expenses were known during the budgeting season. The next one's the big one. This is one that we also discussed during budgeting season, and it has to do with the way that equipment gets treated at the bookkeeping level. So if you go way back to 2020, the board decided to secure the lower interest rates that we had at the time. This was we call it the MAC Granite. This is needed for snow season, and essentially what happened, I think most everybody on the board will remember that this was before interest rates started climbing. We knew that they were going to start climbing, so the board wanted to secure financing for a piece of equipment that we hadn't even ordered yet. So we ordered the vehicle, we secured the financing, and all of this has to do with the fact that the truck came, it's now in the possession of the town. So the bookkeeping side of it looks a lot different. So essentially what we're doing here is changing the 2023 budget to reflect that we will be not doing this as a prepay like we have for the prior two payments for this MAC Granite. This is the third out of 3 payments that we're making this year. But the way that we set this up is that, and just so everybody knows, I think that when we're in this position again, we'll be approaching this much differently, but this was a drastic situation given where we're at with the delay in the delivery of this truck. Everything's on a 2 or 3 year delay with this larger equipment these days post-pandemic. So we'll be doing some problem solving next time we run into this situation to try to avoid these bookkeeping backflips that we have to do here. So essentially what's happening in plain terms between these last 2 budget modifications, one is for the 2024 budget. Essentially because we have the vehicle opposed to the prepay, what we're doing is we're paying it out of fund balance in 2023 because of the way that we have to treat it. And we'll be essentially raising the money with the 2024 tax levy. So we have a retired auditor as a bookkeeper. So this is the sort of exact bookkeeping type things that she knows very well. And I think that if we had a different bookkeeper, we'd be handling it this differently, but this is exactly how the auditors want to see this handled. So we're doing it in collaboration with our auditors as well. So I can say it even more plainly, which is essentially we're paying for equipment this year that we're going to be raising taxes for in 2024. Is a simple way of saying it. And this is all because of the sequence that we went about procuring this vehicle. So
Didn't we get a loan for that?
we did. We financed it.
Right. So is this a prepayment?
It's not anymore. Because we actually have possession of the vehicle, this last payment is not a prepayment, which is why we have to treat it as far as bookkeeping goes in the way that you see here. So the payment 1 and 2.
Why wouldn't you pay for it when the payment's due?
It's due December 1st.
But isn't financing different than the delivery of the truck?
It is. So we financed it.
Right.
Right,
But this is a prepayment.
well, not once you have the truck, I guess that's what they're saying. Once you
So
have it, it doesn't,
is the loan dissolved once the truck is delivered?
but we don't have,
December 1st.
Michelle, do we have any more payments on this or no?
Nope, this is the last one.
Right, so.
Yep,
it's-
this is year 3 of 3.
Yeah, I understand it's complete, but we're paying it early. We're paying it like a year early or something.
Year
Correct.
old?
And so if we didn't have possession of this vehicle, we could do it as what we call a prepay, which is treated differently. You'll see those in December mostly, where you'll say, okay, here's an expense that we have to pay in 2023, but it's for a 2024 expense.
Like insurance.
Right. So we do that routinely, and that's how we have treated payment 1 and 2, because we didn't have possession of the vehicle. So now that we have possession of the vehicle, the whole context of it changes, which is
No, but I
all
don't understand what possession of the vehicle has to do with the
Having the
the
loan.
terms of the loan.
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't make any sense to me.
it has to do with the way that the auditors want it. It doesn't have anything to do with the terms of the loan. So nothing's changed as far as the financing or anything.
Well, an
with it.
auditor doesn't care when you make a payment. Auditor only cares if you are following proper accounting rules.
Yes.
Right.
The asset and you'd still have the loan on.
Well, there's some underlying reason why we're paying this early.
Why are we paying?
So the payment's always been due. This is the 3rd year that it's due on December 1st. But the way that this all worked, so if we go back into time when we set this all up, because the board wanted to secure that lower interest rate, we had to start this contract prior to the beginning of the financial year.
Right,
So we secured the low interest rate and did a prepayment. So I too, Michael, do not quite fully understand why it has to be treated different, the difference between if we have the asset or if we don't have the asset. So this is on recommendations from our auditor. So,
why are we raising taxes? Isn't this
because that's how
money-
we pay for equipment.
Isn't this in the highway department budget?
It is, yep. Yeah, so the way the equipment plan, our capital plan works for the highway is that we consistently raise a certain amount of taxes each year so that we don't, so it's not, when we have a big year for equipment, we try to smooth that curve out, but there are years that have more higher equipment expenses than others. So instead of, getting the tax levy to follow along with those increases and decreases, we do a steady amount. So we have sort of a earmarked amount of a tax levy that goes towards equipment in the DA fund annually.
But are the taxes on, are they extra taxes that we haven't normally paid, and this is an extra tax?
No,
Or this-
nope, no, our tax levy remains the same as it was in in budget season.
When she meant raised, it means, created,
Levy.
not
Levy.
levied, not
Levy.
like
But it
raising
sounded- It
taxes.
sounded like it was an extra.
Right, no,
extra
no, no, it's,
What we approved 2 sessions ago is the
Yes,
tax levy.
it's gonna come out of that money, but we have to, like, we paid this bill by December 1st of the last 3 years. This is the third payment.
So when you said we're paying it a year early, we're not, are we or not?
So we pay the way that we, the cycle that this is on is very odd. The bill is due December 1st. But we've always raised the money the following year, essentially. Is how it's worked. And the only reason this is coming to everybody's attention is because we actually got the vehicle, so we have to treat it in a specific way. So nothing's changed about anything, really.
So we're not
Except
spending
for-
any more money.
Except
not-
for, you know,
Reality.
right, except for the year that we have to recognize the expense.
Well, that's as clear as mud. Thank you. Any other questions related to this?
I'm sure there's some bookkeeping rule that, you know, that really creates all the structure around all this, but it's you know, it's a very deep dive into auditing practices of government. So this is the best I can do in explaining it.
Any questions for Michelle related to that? Oh, I'm sorry. I meant board questions.
So we have the vehicle, has it been all outfitted with
It's
everything?
already,
needed?
it's on the.
They're driving it?
Yep, they're driving it.
Except for signs.
Doesn't say DPW yet, does it?
Nobody will. We're not there yet.
And it doesn't say highway.
Yeah.
We're
Holding
waiting
up.
on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it around yet, so good.
Okay, well,
All
if there
right,
are no
well, I still
more.
don't understand it, but let's move on.
Okay. Well then, is someone willing to approve the budget modifications as presented?
Move budget modifications as presented.
Second, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you. And now we're payment of audited claims. So Michelle is here. It's for vouchers number 438 through 479 and 481 through 488. An amount of $210,335.25. Michelle, can you remind us why there's a gap for 480?
Actually, Carissa might be a
Okay, sorry.
better position to answer that question.
I'm
happy to, but-
More information, so that's gonna go into December.
Okay, thank you.
file.
So I just had a couple questions that, if you could follow up on. They were buying flashlights and spigots from two different like suppliers. Just seems odd.
I guess it'd be supply chain, but I'm happy to ask. So the spigots and what else were you looking for?
Flashlight.
Flashlights, yeah, they got Lowe's and mid-lake sales, it's just,
Okay,
What was the big number in this two town?
The truck, right?
yeah,
80.
yeah, 84,000 for the truck.
Yeah,
And then there is the.
And there's a lot of them, just a lot of them this month. You can see how thick it is. A lot of the normal stuff.
Right.
And then there's a lot of highway stuff in there. They're getting the truck's ready for winter.
Yep.
You know, and then he's got a screener for millions, that was 2,300. A bunch of retirement system stuff, that's quite a bit of money.
Mm.
So,
Is that end of the year typical?
Yeah, is that-
Yeah, they pay retirement once a year, so.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so those are, if you guys just want to peruse through that, that gives you a little overview in it. Yeah, and then the one I noted to Carissa, and I think was, did we have anything else that we were talking about?
Charger.
A lottery.
Oh, and I showed them the charger,
Yeah.
that was just a discussion.
Oh,
Just
It's a
wanted to see
big.
it.
Yeah, that was a charge.
The EV charger.
Yeah.
The
Did we want to talk about that?
I think we might as well.
So
since it's in there.
70 grand is.
Krista, do you mind having a conversation about that now, or do you?
I'm not even aware of that.
No, the charge point, when we had the screen had to be replaced. that Casey was overseeing with them.
So that's,
I believe that's what.
yeah, I
Mhm.
didn't realize that was in there.
I don't,
Because I thought we were under warranty.
I think that was
Mm.
one of the questions, it seemed.
I think the bill that's in there has to do with something around cloud licensing, I want to say. It's a budgeted item, which is what my interpretation of that bill was.
Our annual subscription in there for $690.
Yeah.
We're talking about.
There's a sound was in there for. Yeah.
That's,
Well,
Is it?
which voucher is it? Can you see which voucher it is?
There's 70,000 here in the retirement.
Yeah, but that's the 1
Here
year.
it is,
No,
What number?
or, well,
it's just
it's
6.
445, I think.
Yeah, but I'm looking for, there's another charge.
Well, aren't they all on one voucher? No?
I think it was the 6.
Yeah, the 445 is the subscription, the annual subscription fee. So
Right, but yeah,
six
Does
ninety,
it have the maintenance on it too?
Mhm.
Oh.
just annual subscription. You see, is there another one in there that anybody wanted to talk about? Okay, I'm just going through on right now.
Well,
I think we just have the spigots,
Yeah, that
the
was.
flashlights. With
Is
the
it in
one
the
that
other-
pulled up.
Is that all of them?
these are all of them, Michael?
Yeah.
No.
So where's the repair part? Did we pay it yet?
Yeah,
The
you-
charge point? Did it get paid?
Didn't pay it last-
No, not if it was
Maybe it was
in
just the
there.
I thought you
the
said there,
annual fee,
yeah, I think you're the one referring to here at the annual.
so 6.690.
Should have been maintenance bill for $4,000.
That what that was in there?
2,300.
Maybe.
Not seeing another one for,
Is there more in the advance 2,000 voucher that's behind it? Maybe they show it, but they. It was like some sort of warranty thing or something. Was it warranty?
How is the IT upgrade going?
that is a whole other topic.
Well, let's stick on.
All right, we can hold on to that.
Okay, so maybe it was, maybe
Yeah, I
they
don't
were
see
seeing
any.
something different.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right.
There's an advanced 2,000, but that's computer support and the monthly subscription.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's just it was a heavy month.
yeah, the only one I saw. The
Was
charge
that
point,
690?
yes, the
That's the true.
690.
Okay, then you look on the last page.
Is there any other voucher anybody wanted to discuss?
No, I think that was it. Did you move it,
I haven't moved, I know, I was just reading it out loud for the purposes of
the
the,
resolution?
yeah, I just read it. I
Okay.
didn't move it. If someone would like to move it.
Yeah, okay, so, we just resolved that the Ulysses Town Board has reviewed and approves payment of claims for vouchers numbered 438 through 479 and 481 through 488 in the amount of $210,335.25. So I move that.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Okay, before we go further, I want to understand some things. In terms of these legal questions.
Uh-huh.
If people bring them up,
Can we do that under the special election update?
okay.
I'm happy to address it. Okay,
Okay, so
so let's go back to municipal and staff reports. Legislator Corman, thank you so much for your patience tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Looks like you guys are pretty busy tonight. So let's see, just a few updates. Let me get my screen up here. I have too many things open. Hold on a second.
That's the current one, that's the revised one. It has the actual, okay, yes.
Okay, here we go. First thing is we passed our 2024 budget at the county. And the with a tax levy increase of 2%. We thought it might be much higher, as I said before, might have been 3, 4, 5%, but we were able to do a couple of things that looking at our bond payments and things like that to try and not pay them off early, but put aside money to pay them off. So we were able to that and some other things and trying to really keep our any increases down to a minimum. So we are able to keep that fairly low. That does result in a tax payment of $5.31 for each thousand of assessed value. And for a median priced home, which is the median priced home last year was $225,000, the price. And this year, the median assessed value of a home in the county is $249,000. So the increase in the yearly payment of county tax will be $50.17 for a total of $1,321. And we are working on a green building policy. And including making sure that our buildings are bird friendly. And if you want any information on that, we had a nice presentation from some experts from the Audubon Society come and talk to us. We are continuing to look at getting a rapid response vehicle with EMT staff that will help with, especially in the rural areas, to help get somebody there pretty quickly. And over the next, we did pass that in the budget, and we're probably going to get about 50%, or we're hoping to get 50% of grant funding for the first year. Going forward after that, there's been some talk about asking municipalities and there's various formulas to possibly chip in for that, for part of the cost. I'd like to hear from folks there at the town. Either, you could approach me individually and say what you're thinking, or if the town wants to give a response. I'm personally advocating for the county to assume all the costs, because I look at this as something like the sheriff's department, that I don't think we can, slice this up and say Ulysses pays this, or Ulysses doesn't pay anything, or in town of Newfield pays this. So that's what my thoughts have been on that. We did pass a resolution the other night asking Governor Hochul and the DEC to require an environmental impact statement for the Cargill salt mine, since we have pretty good information that the Cargill salt mine is up for sale. We're also asking that they have a closure plan with a sufficient bond for the safe closure, or if there is an accident, for instance, contamination of the lake. So we're asking the state for a couple of things. So we'll let you know how that goes. I'll say that any municipality, any towns or municipalities along the lake are welcome to see what we did and put another one in, pass your own resolution in support of that. Our solid waste annual fee was restructured. So the annual fee you pay for our recycling and materials management department is $80 now. We thought we were going to have to increase that over the next couple of years. But because we restructured the fee for universities and other large organizations, which is resulting in them having an increase, then we're going to be able to keep the single family fee at $80 and not have to raise that. So I'm happy about that. Let's see. I think those are, I think everything else I said to you last time I saw you. So that's all I have right now.
Thank you so much. Anybody on the board have any questions?
We had a meeting last night for the water committee, and we're going over the number of responses we've had to date. So it's been a pretty favorable response.
Great.
So they're excited about that, and then trying to figure out how we're going to collate them. So
Wonderful. And what's the deadline? Do you remember?
it was like
22nd.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Thanksgiving week, they're talking about extending it. They thought
Okay.
maybe if somebody was trying to. Had, tired of their turkey or something, they might slide over the computer and fill out their water survey, so we were hoping. So we'll see, so hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have
A way to escape your family.
Yeah,
Briefly.
yeah.
Have to fill out this survey.
Yeah, excuse me.
Survey business. Great, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much, Anne. We really appreciate you being here. Does anybody else have any other committee updates they'd like to share? No? Okay. Sounds good. I did not, because I forgot to remind staff, the normal monthly reports, I have them in my inbox. They are gonna be part of the November 28th agenda. If you need something on the November 28th agenda, I need it by Thursday because I'm sending this Thursday. Because my agenda packet is going to Carissa on Friday morning. Because I am going to go out of town next week, but I will still, if there's an emergency or you need me, I'm still available that way, but I don't want to be escaping Turkey to work on my agenda packet. So at this juncture, the real items on that agenda are 2 presentations. One from Inatiganic and another one on Development District 3. So those are the bulk of the meeting for the 28th. But if you need something else, please let me know.
Which one's number 3?
Former Bar Angus.
Okay.
And that was originally going to happen tonight, but the materials weren't quite ready until yesterday, and we wanted to make sure the board had sufficient time to review. So that'll be part of the posted agenda packet later this week for the 28th. So moving on to old business training update for elected officials, public officials, and comprehensive plan steering committee members. Last month, we had our special meeting with the BZA and I think had a very productive conversation. So I'm bringing to you a resolution tonight that would amend our training requirements that we adopted in July to extend the deadline for completion through the end of December of this year. And it would also accept sexual harassment prevention certificates completed in 2023 in fulfillment of our training requirements. And then my intention, and I shared this already with the BZA chair, is that as part of the organizational meeting, we'll bring the 2024 training requirements as part of the organizational meeting, and in the same format that we talked about in that meeting with the BZA, the published meeting, which is the way I'm conceiving of it right now is that each the planning board and the BZA and our board covers staff as well, will establish a date within the first 6 months of the calendar year to have in-person training. So we'll bring in training specific to those 3 different boards. If you're not able to attend one of those meetings, one of those 3 meetings in person, then we'll have a remote option as well. Or if somebody joins in, October or whatever and needs to comply. But that would be the way to go about it in that regard. So
That would be at their meetings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At a meeting that they schedule at a time that's convenient for their members.
Mhm.
And especially ethics can be tailored, all of them can be tailored, but the training would be still 2 hours of compliance, but it would be training very specific to service on their boards.
Yeah.
Or our board and staff.
Yeah, I'd like to also make sure that we try to get their, not so much the BZA, but the planning board, they get their 4 hours of.
If I had a conversation just this week about it.
Okay,
So,
good.
yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. I'm carrying the torch.
Yeah.
I have not forgotten, by any means. And so, yeah, that's really what this is, really an extension of, and I can tell you too, I was informed this week that, we have virtually everybody's completed their training. There are a couple standouts, in terms of having not completed it, but overwhelmingly the training has been already completed by the majority. So it didn't make sense from an organizational standpoint to then completely change the trainings this year, seeing as how people had already largely complied. But then we'll make some tweaks in 2024.
I have one question. going through the vouchers, there's a couple for. The rec programs and behind it, it said it referred to them as an employee.
Mm.
You know, like there was a coach or something that was an employee. Are they? Because many of them are youth facing. Do they have their own requirements for?
I think it comes down to whether or not it's like an employee, like we consider them an employee versus like a stipend on a limited
Yeah.
like type thing. And so Lixie would be the best person to, and I'll delve into that. My understanding is we do not require for the limited oversight programs, we don't require it because it's a different type of employment than
Right.
a staff member. So, I'll add that to the list to check on.
They're more like independent contractors. I
Yeah.
think. How they're treated.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of it like how like the scouts got in trouble, or like if you're coaching or
Mm.
things, you know, like a lot of the things that you're going through now that I went through and my kids were going up through. You know, that if you're a coach with whatever program, they put you through it's a little different than being
Yeah,
an
there's
employee for the
know
sexual
about the
awareness thing, but
town, because we don't pay the coaches necessarily for the youth programs.
well, there's
So
a
we've got,
couple of
that's-
vouchers.
Yeah, that's specific ones, but a lot of the coaches are volunteers, or they might get their fees waived for their child to play.
Oh,
But that's a little different than I think it was the yoga and the tennis instructor we brought in specifically for a specific case basis. But I know a lot of the programs do have their own requirements of all sorts of training,
yeah,
from CPR to
Yeah.
harassment training.
we also do, I know a lot of the youth programs where we do have paid individuals, like our track program, 10% of the school district participates in our track program. So there's nearly 100 kids out there every season or this season. And the person who oversees it is in fact employee of the school.
oh, okay.
And so there's a lot of cross pollination there. And
Right.
then moving forward into next year, we have the position of rec supervisor. That Ryan has been our summer camp director for a number of years, and he's also done like essentially contractor work. He's moving into that position more formally, with the intention being, because of his skill set, he's actually most likely going to probably be able to pick up some of these contracted
Mhm.
positions, and he is a staff member who is required to go through the training. But I will follow up on, I know that there are forms that have to get signed even for volunteer coaches in
Yeah.
terms of behavioral expectations and all of that. But you're right, there's a lot of them, if the coach pitch baseball coaches, their kids' fees are getting waived, but they're not making much money. They're not making any money on their service, but I'll check on that. Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's really important to make sure that we're taking good care of our children and our community. So I appreciate your sensitivity to that. Thank you. I'll confirm as well. Okay, so are there any other conversation related, on the board related to the tweak to our training requirements? If not, I'll accept a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye, thank you. Okay, that brings us to our special election update. I'm gonna start with the poll worker resolution. Got you a new copy today that has the people we have appointed so far, we're able to appoint so far. So mine's red. I forgot to print yours in color. So this is the way you're looking for that with Michael's there. Yep, there you go.
Oh. The wrong stuff, the one I couldn't find it. Thank you.
So this resolution appoints the following persons who I'm not reading the whole resolution, but the following persons are appointed as poll workers for the listed polling sites. The two sites are Shermansburg Village Hall at 56 East Main Street, Shermansburg, New York. And the Racker Center at 3226 Wilkins Road in Ithaca. And where the names that are before you tonight, and I'll read through those in just a sec. These individuals come directly from the list produced and provided to the town by Tompkins County Board of Elections. All of these individuals are trained pole inspectors. And we are we're tasked with appointing from that list as the responsibility of the town when holding an election. If we, right now, we need 8 people. We currently have 7. If Carissa has everybody who was on the list who's not on here of the list that the county provided, has everybody said no, or we still have some people outstanding, right?
Still outstanding people, right, yeah.
So Carissa has been confirming with individuals their ability to serve. If those remaining 3 either say no or within a relatively reasonable period of time don't respond at all, legal advice from our attorney is to go to Tompkins County and ask for other individuals who are from an election inspector list within Tompkins County.
These are all
Ulysses
residents of, yeah.
These are all Ulysses residents. And it's really, I mean, if you were just at the polls on November 7th, as I was, I recognized many of the volunteers because they live in Ulysses, and that's the common practice. And that's, we need to have poll workers who come from our community, if we can demonstrate that we do our best to pull them from our community, we can go to another list from that. That's a reasonable thing to do, but it would be from Tompkins County, people trained and provided to us by Tompkins County. So I'll go through and read the appointments to these individuals. And for Trumansburg Village Hall, Dolores Higuerita, did I say it right? Thank you. Liz Thomas, Carol Simbach, Patricia Dodge, and for the Rafter Center, Christine Holtkamp, Doreen Allman, and Emily Okama. And we still have 1 open position at that location. All the poll workers shall be paid $7 per hour.
17.
I'm sorry. Thank you. $17 per hour, $7 an hour would not get you very far. $17 per hour. Thank you. And the resolution would take effect immediately. Are there any questions or discussion about this?
And the town will be paying the $17 per hour to each of these individuals.
So should I bring up my question now?
Is it about this resolution?
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, it's in terms of my concern is with all these legal questions that we haven't answered, and I haven't heard answers to. I'm not sure I'm not clear we're in compliance with all these
We are absolutely
constraints. So I want to
categorically.
hear, I need to hear that because I have not, I haven't heard from the attorney or
So,
really
okay,
anybody since we passed this resolution to buy the land. I don't remember that we had discussions about all these issues that are being raised here.
so the question is, well, a number of questions. First off, the idea, have we spent money without town approval, or the public's approval?
In terms of what?
Have we spent money without the public's approval on various items? We have a contract in place with the property owner that is conditional
Right.
upon permissive referendum period. We duly advertise. A petition came forward, so that contract becomes null and void
That's if it goes down.
if it goes
If
down.
it gets approved, then we still have to be in compliance with the ARPA terms and the.
Yes, and that has been fully vetted by our attorney. I can tell you there are municipalities next door to us in Enfield. Newfield is spending over $120,000 of their allocation on their recreation space. This is a commonly used thing that has been approved by our town attorney.
What about this Title I issue, 30% of the ARPA funds? I just.
That refers to, there's a big differentiation between programs that accepted $10 million and more and programs underneath that threshold. When the funding was initially pushed out, it was pushed out with the expectation that it would be used in 3 categories. And the 3 categories were water, sewer, and broadband. But the reality was very quickly as they started issuing additional rules about what it could be used for and where the limitations and oversight were. And the big categorization they use is the breakdown. And I've had these conversations with the town attorney. It's been vetted by the town attorney. It's been vetted by Blixey, who has a lot of compliance, enforcement and understanding. And we are not in violation using ARPA funds. ARPA funds can absolutely categorically, and I read that aloud in the information session, be used for the acquisition of public facilities. It was recognized that outdoor spaces helped ameliorate the issues related to the COVID-19 pandemic. So the 70% is not, it's not pertinent to us. This, there's no there. It's been reviewed. We have an attorney. That's why we pay for legal counsel. This has been approved. Enfield is spending money for parks. Newfield is spending money for parks. We're not making this up about you can use it for parks.
I don't think, I'm not saying.
So can we just send these to Nate and have him vet those?
I'm happy to send it to Nate.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I just.
Yeah, 'cause that
I've
gets-
had these conversations with him. I
You
informed
have,
him.
but we have.
I understand, but nobody asked, in all due respect, nobody asked to have those conversations.
Right.
Nate, I talked to him about this
Yeah.
again after the last public information session. And he'll tell you the same thing I do. So if you'd like to have an advice of counsel session, I'm certainly happy to bring in.
No,
our
but I
attorney.
think in fairness to the folks that
Yeah,
brought
well,
these,
Yeah,
you know, they put some thought behind them that, I think that we should,
we
you
should
know,
have a response.
yeah.
We should have a response.
So do you want the attorney to prepare a memo? What would
Yeah.
you, what would you like?
The memo's fine.
Yeah, I think that would be, you know,
Okay, we need
It might
to-
clear the air.
Sure.
It's gonna be,
I think we
Lawyer
need to do whatever we can do to answer the questions the public has. And if it needs a memo from the attorney to go through this, fine. I mean, I think so.
yeah, I'd be more comfortable with that as well.
Sounds great. I'll be spending more money.
Your tax dollars at
Your
work.
tax dollars, that's right.
It's worth it.
And I'd like to be very clear, I've never said that the federal government doesn't care how we spend the money. That's not a correct interpretation. However, the idea that, the reality is that, federal oversight and auditing of every single municipality in the United States received money. That means the richest municipality down to the very poorest municipality received money based on their population. And where they really want to make sure the money is going to the most important use is for the $10,000 and above. We're
10
talking,
million.
I'm sorry, $10 million and above. Sorry, thank you. And so it's not that the federal government doesn't care, but the whole point behind this money was in part was to push money out into the economy. I mean, don't take for granted what the purpose of this money was. They gave out $1,200 to individuals if you met certain income thresholds, and pushing money into the economy was a large measure of what this kind of funding was supposed to do. They want to see it in active purpose, which is why you can't put it in a reserve fund. It's why you can't put it towards pensions. They want it to see an active use. So, I'm happy to have a
accept
legal,
all that.
yeah.
I just
Sure.
think it's a good policy. To answer the questions in writing, you know.
Sure, our attorney's firm will be happy to reiterate.
If these were in the FAQs. fine. But if you could just go.
Some of them are,
Some of them are in the FAQ.
Yeah.
which was updated last week, so I don't know if
So
everybody
we
had a
could
chance.
coordinate that with the FAQs, could coordinate with what they're asking. That would be good.
So that we don't waste the
The
legal time on
FAQs were generated by,
FAQs.
sent by the lawyers, right?
A lot of these questions aren't legal questions. How are you gonna conduct a planning process isn't a legal question. So,
Well, that's not the, yeah,
no, but my point is, yes, a lot of the information, but I did not, there are 41 separate questions answered in that. And a lot of those are not necessarily, are you allowed to or not allowed to question. Certainly the information that pertains to legal oversight in terms of how to manage elections and the establishment of dates and things like that, of course. That's all being generated from that information.
And Chris, I could just remind me, what is I know there is a turnaround time, because I've done it a lot of times, but the FOIL request, the turnaround time, how much time do you have to respond to that?
21 days.
21 days from the date you received?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, 21 days from the date that we respond, and you have to respond within 5 days. So it'd be 26 days, right?
say that again?
Unless
You
you
confused
respond
me
on the
there.
first day when you immediately receive it. and then the
right,
27th.
and
Oh,
it's
21
okay.
days.
Gotcha. Okay. Sounds good. So do we need to move the resolution to approve the poll?
I believe it
workers?
was moved.
Yeah.
And
Do we
I
need a
really-
second? Do we need?
Yeah,
to
I just have
approve
one
it?
silly question.
Sure.
Has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
The poll workers, are
Mhm.
there like 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans?
Usually that's how it works.
So
Since this is a non,
this is a nonpartisan election.
yeah, so that's why it was a dumb question.
So I
just
can tell
curious.
you just throwing out there, I know people on both sides of the issue reflected in here.
Oh, okay.
So
Of
and then the
the
same
issue
issue
or what party?
of the issue. I don't know about the party. In fact, I do know, yes, there, well, I mean, there are
So this
parties.
was, these lists, we got the list that I have is both Republican and Democrat. Everybody in the town, and I just called everybody and didn't pay attention
But
to.
we don't
what
have to
party
adhere
they
to
were in.
2 and 2 or something.
No.
That was more.
Is that a
curiosity.
requirement for general elections?
Yeah, you have to have 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats.
But it is a non-political party
Yeah.
thing, so.
So that's a dumb question. So we could.
No, it's not a dumb question. I
I'm
think
just
it's
curious.
an important one. No. Okay, well, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. New business authorization to include a 2024 town budget summary and the 2024 tax bill. This is an oldie but a goodie. I've always thinking maybe we should move this to the organizational meeting. So it never gets forgotten, but I think it's probably good to keep it later in the fiscal year. This basically is the resolution we bring each year that we actually have to have a resolution that allows us to print additional information in the tax bill that gets sent along with the tax bill.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Seems like it's been well received in the past.
I think it's really
That's
helpful.
helpful.
I enjoyed reading it last year, but I read it to my husband who did not seem nearly as interested.
It was riveted by your
No, he was not.
presentation, huh?
He wasn't a fail. Okay, next up is an escrow agreement for the payment of municipal engineering, consulting and legal fees. This is related to an agreement that we would put into place with Grassroots. Grassroots is in attendance. I'm not sure who from Grassroots is joining us tonight, but feel free to come off mute. The purpose of this agreement is so that the town can contract can provide services basically as a pass-through entity to allow Grassroots to undertake the necessary engineering and legal reviews it needs in the preparation of their the documents that go along with their petition for the creation of a water district. And what this means is before any of that work is undertaken, Grassroots would deposit $11,000 in escrow account with the town. That account would be used to pay for the services. Currently, we have an estimate. There's an estimate from MRB in the range of just under $10,000 to do a map, plan, and report, which is necessary for the submission and consideration of Grassroots petition for a water district. And so this contract basically means that the general public isn't paying for the costs associated with legal review and engineering review that is being paid for by Grassroots. It's the reason we did 11,000 was because if you drop below 1,000, it immediately triggers the need for an additional 5,000 to be deposited. And because right now the only known bill is shy of $10,000. This way, if Grassroots receives a map plan and report from MRB, which will include cost estimates for doing a water district, for the actual creation of a water district, the infrastructure costs. Again, those would be costs paid by the water district, not by the general town. If Grassroots decided at that point it wasn't interested in pursuing a water district, well, this agreement we can effectively in this agreement, give them their money, the rest of whatever money is remaining in their account, and call it a day. But if it proceeds forward, we can keep this in place for the completion of the work. And so this is the way for the Grassroots, and we appreciate that Grassroots to pay for the work they need to have done. So, Elaine's, I think, with us tonight.
Yes, how are you?
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having us. Yeah, we're very excited to move forward with this. It's been a long time coming, and so we appreciate the cooperation that we've had with the town, and we're ready to do it.
Wonderful.
Good.
Any questions?
So are they aware there's engineering fees on top of the map plan report?
Yes, they are. Yes.
Okay, and then we have a timeline?
So what will happen, it's, Elaine does, I can't remember off the top of my head, did MRB give you a time estimate on how long they thought it would take to complete the work?
I
The
don't
work
think
related to
they
the map plan report.
Yeah, I don't remember the timeline either. I don't remember seeing that, but I think it'll be pretty quick.
So from a procedural standpoint, the map plan, in order to complete the petition packet, this map plan report needs to be completed. When that, then it'll come as a complete packet back to the town board, and the town board will be able to, if it so chooses, to accept the petition after having gone through the legal process of holding a public hearing and things like that. After the, if the petition, if we get to that point, that when at this point, we have, Grassroots has not formally submitted their petition. We have some of the paperwork, but we haven't finalized, the paperwork hasn't been finalized because it's missing this map planner report. The map planner report will give the organization pretty good cost estimates of how much it'll cost to actually construct it. So if they choose to do the final submission of the petition, then we'll take it from there. There's a legal process we go through.
So chances are it will not be constructed for the 2024 festival season.
Our plan is to have it constructed for the 2024 season, if at all possible.
And is it
So-
them alone or is it other people on?
It's a single property water district. And that's possible in this location because the distribution, one of the village's 2 distribution lines happens to run past their property. So they
It
can
runs,
connect.
yeah, it runs through it. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That should be a
So-
pretty easy hookup.
But,
You still
well,
have to go through the same
if you want it for the
procedures.
2024 season, I would encourage you to fast track it because it's a pretty tall ask. It seems like a long way away, but to do
Well,
something like this.
I think right now we're just waiting on MRB and the maps and just to see what the distribution will be.
Right, I'm just encouraging you to,
I don't think they're trying to slow it down at all. I don't think anybody-
We're ready to pay into the escrow as soon as this gets.
Yeah. so that's all I would recommend.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
But I move the resolution.
Second, third, fourth.
Any further discussion?
No, I think it's great that Grassroots is willing to enter into this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on, I'd like to request, that, so the special election, is on December, 6th. And so, the town attorney has recommended that we, schedule a special meeting, on the 7th, at a time to allow us to update the public on the outcome of the special election results.
Are we gonna have results?
The anticipation is we would have results. So,
If we're getting, good,
It's gonna be a 5-minute meeting, right?
right,
yeah,
well, I don't know, but,
You never know.
if we're getting absentee ballots, is there a,
I haven't received them by 5 PM on election.
okay,
day.
so there's no.
No.
Okay.
so all ballots will have to be in by 5 PM if it's an absentee ballot, 8 PM if you're voting in the polls. So for that, it's just a matter of count.
Right, so move the resolution.
Oh, no, we need to set a time.
Okay.
I wanted to pick a time. I can just call a
Pick a
special
time.
meeting. Carissa would not like to do it at 8 AM because she's gonna be up late, because they actually, the poll inspectors will actually present her with the certified votes. So she's gonna be up later that night. Does 9 AM work for everybody, or is that too late?
December, fine by me.
Thursday.
The Thursday.
It's not that we have to be here.
Well, at least 3 of us have to be here.
Yeah, that's good.
I could be.
9?
Are you bringing treats?
What's pants?
Yeah, 9 is fine.
Might need extra coffee for Chris to stay awake.
Okay, 9 AM. Okay, all right. So Rich moved that resolution with that friendly amendment, I imagine, of 9 AM. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. And then, I would like to entertain, so your willingness to see if this is possible, if you'd be willing to start the December 12th meeting at 6 PM instead of 7 PM. The school district has moved towards having, all of its choral concerts, between the ages of 5th grade and 12th grade on a single night. I would like to see, my kiddos, perform, I think that it'll probably, if we start at 6 o'clock, we can focus on getting, the main business of the town, taken care of while I'm here to answer any questions that's necessary. And I can turn over the chairing of the meeting, to my trusty deputy. Would that be okay to start at 6 PM? Is that?
Yeah,
That's
fine with
That's fine by me.
Okay, and then we would be canceling the regular meeting, that same day, because, we, instead of running two meetings, we would just be canceling the second one and creating a new one. And then, we typically do not, hold our second meeting in December. We will have had 2 meetings in December because we're gonna meet December 7th, but then December 12th, and then cancel the December 26th regular meeting. That's the routinely canceled one. So that's what this resolution. Michael, does that work in your schedule?
Think
To
so,
start
yeah.
at 6?
Mhm.
Okay. So I'll move that resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
So many seconds. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah. Okay. And then that brings us to a letter of support for the village TAP grant. I submit letters of support that have no financial implications for the town, on a not routine basis, but I have done a few in my time. The reason I'm bringing this one to the town in particular is the village is looking to get a TAP grant. TAP grants are used for transportation safety. And they're looking to, a TAP grant was used to get the sidewalk that goes down to SureSave from by Smith Woods and other places within the town, within the village to improve sidewalks. They're looking to do a grant application this fall to extend sidewalks along Route 96 up north. And we have a segment of land that is, I believe it's 4 whole properties. I don't know who, I have a beef with whoever allowed this to happen before. But when the village, when the village annexed the formal Ovals trailer park, manufactured home park, now INHS's property, when that annexation happened, they actually left this island of town outside village properties that's completely surrounded by the village. So there's a strip of this potential sidewalk that would go through town outside village, but yet somehow still surrounded by village land. And so we would have to come up with an agreement. If they're successful, we would have to come up with an agreement in terms of maintenance of this very small section of sidewalk. So I just wanted to bring it to the boards.
Can we give those properties back to the village?
I've had that conversation. I think it would make logical sense, but it actually has to be the will of the property owners themselves. I've been a little busy lately, so I have not investigated.
How long is the sidewalk?
I mean, the sidewalk through the town part, I mean, I think it's a couple hundred feet. I don't think the sidewalks themselves is they're trying to push the sidewalks all the way up through.
Like
So
from
So
the
from the
farmer's market
all the way
to
to Seneca Road?
Cobbles
I believe so.
or
Wow,
Compass Park.
So,
Compass Homes, whatever it's
yeah.
called.
they don't have them, so I mean, that's
It'd be a great
Very
safety feature to be able to.
And there's
do
that other Meadowview Court has sidewalks that go up to 96 and then no more, you know?
Yeah,
Really? That
Yeah,
little stretch?
it was like part of their approval to build that
Mm,
housing project was that they would have sidewalks.
Two no sidewalks.
But they only go to the main road and then they stop.
yeah, and sometimes that becomes site plan approval with the idea being that as sites evolve over time, you could eventually connect those sidewalks, so I've definitely seen that happen. The intention, I don't think there would be a lot of financial, we would have to work out those financial. Maintenance, long-term maintenance would fall to the town for the section that we owned. We'd be responsible for plowing it. Or paying a
Well,
cost
They
of,
take care of our section down.
they take it, we pay a plowing bill for it.
Yeah.
But and it's not required maintenance yet of any noticeable amount.
Why
because
can't
of
we
its
just
age.
model it after that? I
That's
think-
what we would do.
Yeah.
That would,
Mhm.
yes, but this letter of support may in the future have some financial implication for the town
Oh.
board. So I just wanted to make sure it was part of the public record and including you if you had any concerns. I didn't have any concerns at this juncture. I thought it was
Yeah.
something we could solve if
Agreed.
they got the money. Maybe the property owners would love to be a part of the village. So that might not be our problem in the future, but okay, may I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And then just a quick update, at the meeting that we had with the Board of Zoning Appeals. It was, one of the things that came out of that is they're requesting, signage, for when the planning board reviews a project and holds a public hearing. There's actually physical signage that is posted, required by law, to be posted on the property, and I think that's really good from a public transparency standpoint. I appreciated that BZA brought it to our attention that that's not equally required for the BZA, so, we briefly discussed, in the town board meeting. I thought that seemed like it seemed like there was agreement that that was a very reasonable thing for the town to modify our law so that we do also require it for the Board of Zoning Appeal public hearings. So what I had the town attorney do is put together a law modification. BZA is not meeting this month in November. They are meeting in December. So my plan is I've already been in touch with the town planner to make sure that that they have an opportunity to consider that law and see if that law meets they feel that tweak meets the signage needs that they have. So that'll be going to them. I understand that they do have an item for consideration at the December meeting that has not put out yet, but if they do have a meeting in December, they can do it then. If not, they can consider it in January or whenever they next meet. So just wanted to keep you updated on that. Any questions about that?
I
Okay.
think it makes sense.
Okay, our next regular meeting is the 28th at 7 PM. Again, if you have agenda items, please or discussion points that can't be done as a walk-on, sometimes we do walk-ons, but if you need action of any substantive nature taken, please get me those by Thursday. And then the special election.
Like 2 days from now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, if something may come up in the next period of time, and if that does, we can deal with it. But if you're aware of something, just let me know.
Okay.
Then the special election is scheduled for December 6th. From 11 AM to 8 PM at Village Hall and the Racker Center. So we've already handled budget modifications and payment of audit claims, which brings us, while you're in the room, you're not on the agenda that we had already adopted, but I'm happy to reach out to the Sheriff's Department and relay your concerns about speed and noise, because that is covered under there are noise considerations covered under state highway law. And I'm happy to have a conversation with the village. We don't have, town board doesn't have oversight over truck routes, but I'm certainly happy to have a conversation and do that, absolutely. But we can absolutely talk to the sheriff's department about safety concerns related to the route also. So anything else before I move to privilege of the floor? Okay. Again, we invite the public is welcome to participate. I'm just pulling up my timer again. Any member of the public is welcome to 3 minutes. We'll go back and forth in person and online. So is there anybody in person who wishes to address the town board?
Oh, I do.
Sure, please go right ahead.
Again, my name is Susan Rose, and again, I live at 104 Pennsylvania Avenue in Jonesboro. I'd like to point out that there was not a single solitary on.
Speak a little louder, can hear. Or move out. Closer.
Thank you. To my knowledge, there were no public meetings about the potential to buy land with ARPA money before we moved to a resolution. To my knowledge, a resolution that is passed that says that things may be done, it's not. That is not in effect, does not allow the things that are in that resolution to be done. It's not that they are done and they don't take effect, it's that they are not done until the resolution takes effect. So I am not understanding the response that I heard tonight. But also, I just want to say that whatever happens in another municipality, as a town resident, I'm not responsible for that, for how the town board did or didn't apply federal law to a federal purchase on behalf of us. But I am responsible if it looks to me like it is not the way that the funds are intended to be used. And there are many, many ways that they can be used to help us to raise that and say, please take another look at this. So I appreciate that you are. And I also appreciate that while you may not have said what I said you said, Ms. Olson, that's what I understood. So you might want to take a look at the YouTube. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody online who wishes to address the town board? Okay, is there anybody in person who wishes to address the town board? Going once, going twice. Okay, Rich?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
There, we
Keep saying
can
that.
I know, I should- I-
remember that we need to talk.
Yes.
Record it now.